Hi there, I'm Dan Smigrod, founder of the We Get Around Network Forum. And let's see, we're just getting set up. Need to share my link. Thanks for your patience. This is our daily tech setup. Almost there. Thanks for your patience as we just go through our little tech setup here today. And I got to fix one thing, so we're going to take that screen grab out. Go live. Almost there. And I don't see my picture, so let's go back to my YouTube channel. I see what I need to do. Just take me a second. Almost there. Let's go back to the front page. Okay, great. So, hey, I'm Dan Smigrod. I'm founder of the We Get Around Network Forum. You're watching WGAN-TV live at 5. It's actually 10 minutes to 5. It's Thursday, August 13th. We're waiting for our guest to join us on our Tech Talk Today show at 360. Marcus Morba in Munich, Germany, and in the forum known as Mori, at Mori. And Maury is going to be talking about technology with us. He should be joining us shortly. Let me just get to my screen. I got so many screens open, just trying to find everything. Okay, good. And so got a fun program for you talking about technology. I think you'll really enjoy it. Marcus is way forward thinking, always looking about what's next, what's coming. He's one of my go-to. I love when he posts to the forum because it's always something I've never heard of, and that I should know. So that's really cool. Tomorrow, Friday, September 1st, we're going to have WGAN Forum member Chris Frazier with Artistic Concepts. Three ways actually you might know Chris. First, if you've ever looked at that point of view, that GoPro camera shooting for 90 minutes, we've been featuring that video this week. That was Chris. Just taking us through the story of how he shoots Matterport Spaces 3D tours. Very matter-of-factly, 90 minutes. It's a great video. If you're thinking about getting Matterport and you're wondering what it's like to actually scan with Matterport, it's really it's a great video. And it's one take. It's 90 minutes long, and you get to see it in real time. And then second, you may know Chris as Media Bumpers. He does 15-second interactive these media bumpers. Anyway, he's got something new and exciting to talk about tomorrow, so we'll visit with him then. And he is also a Matterport service provider under the brand Try Reality. So that's tomorrow, Friday. And even teasing coming up to next week, Labor Day weekend is coming up in the United States. So Monday's a holiday. We won't be live at 5 this coming Monday, Labor Day holiday in the United States. But we will pick it back up on Tuesday, live at 5 on WGAN TV with John Javier with PhotoSpark. So you may have been reading in the forum about all his visual storytelling solutions. He's got a lot of great tools to help you succeed faster, and we'll be visiting with him Tuesday. So Marcus will be joining us shortly. Looking forward to that. This is kind of our little daily behind the scenes backstage tour as we take time to get set up each day, make sure that our feed is live. So Marcus, look forward to joining us live here shortly. Feel free to join now. That would be perfectly that would be good. And so earlier today, I have a couple minutes before we get started and before maybe I hear Marcus knocking on the door here, Maury knocking on the door to our chat window here. Earlier today, I was talking to a couple that's thinking about getting a Matterport camera, and a really good conversation. The answer is never always black and white, that it makes sense or it doesn't make sense. And I think the three takeaways that I had from visiting with them is that one, they need to sell even before they get the camera. They're not quite sure whether they'll be able to get the return back to pay for the camera, the tripod, the head, and the gazillion other things you actually need to start a Matterport service provider business. So, I think even though they've asked a number of potential clients, if we offered this solution, would you buy it? And the answers always seem to be yes. But knowing from experience, talking to other members of the forum, is that based on that, a number of people bought cameras only to find out that those people who said, "Oh yes, I would buy that," actually would not buy it. So I think it's really important to ask for the order, ask for money. In this particular case, talking with this couple. Perfectly fine to either do some pre-orders, even if it means half price. We're taking pre-orders now, so if they're going to be charging X, to charge 1/2 X, and see if they can actually make some sales today in order to have the confidence to move forward with buying the camera. And we also talk about some other creative ways, since they're not necessarily in the position where they need the cash today, and they are competing with some other photographers. We've talked about this a little bit in the forum, but perhaps instead of charging 1/2 or 1/3 of what you really should be charging, charge the full fare, but let the agent or broker know that we'll take the business risk with you, and when the house sells, you can pay us. And so instead of charging perhaps a little amount of money, to charge a full rate, because not every house is going to sell. Houses are going to come off the market. And I think this may be particularly attractive to those that are just starting out, because you need to scan houses anyway. You need the practice, and you'd probably be willing to scan houses, totally free, anyway. So I see Marcus is just joining us, so bear with me a sec. And okay, so almost there. And Marcus, let me take you off mute here. And we do actually have you live on WGAN TV Live. We haven't begun yet, but I've just been doing like a little pre-show. So can you hear me okay, Marcus?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah, so good to see you. And we'll get started in a moment. You might have you used Zoom before, the back end that we're using today?
No, not really. Mostly Skype, Hangouts, or other services.
Okay, so what you might do is just click on my image there on your left, I think, and you can, on that menu, it'll say pin to the page, and that way it won't go back and forth looking at you, looking at me, looking at you, looking at me. So just click on my image, look for pin video. Do you see that?
No, pin video.
Do you see me as a little teeny image on the screen?
No, I have the full screen.
Full screen, okay.
Full video.
Okay, well, that'll work.
The question is, how can I share my screen? Yeah, there's a button.
There's a share screen down at the bottom. It'd be a little green icon, and then you can either share your entire screen or just a window that's open on your screen. But the good news is I can hear you, you can hear me, and that'll work. So we'll get started in a minute. So anyway, I was just kind of finishing the story to say, you know, if you're thinking about buying a Matterport camera, I think one of the great things that you can do, you know, many of us are geeky at heart. We love the technology. We fall in love with the technology. The first thing is to see if you can make some sales. So it's perfectly fine. Go out and make some sales. And certainly we can help you find a Matterport Pro that can help you fill those orders until you have the confidence to say, I'm going to actually invest in the camera and the gear and the related stuff. So anyway, so Marcus, we'll get getting ready in about a minute. Did you have any questions for me before we get started?
No.
No? Okay, good. All right, it's good to see you. So bear with me, and let's see. And we'll get started in 5, 4, 3. Oh, no, let's go back. Let's go back to you there for Marcus for a moment. Let's go back to you. Let's take it off screen sharing. Marcus?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's take it off screen sharing just for a moment.
Okay. How? Stop share. Yeah, here it is.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
Give me just a moment before we go into that. Okay, great. So we'll get started so anyway, this is live television, and this is really a giant experiment, and we're learning as we go. So bear with us. So getting ready in 5, 4. Hi, I'm Dan Smigrod, founder of the We Get Around Network Forum. Today is Wednesday, September 31st. No, I'm totally wrong about that. August 31st. I'm always thinking in the future there, Marcus. So anyway, you're watching WGAN-TV live at 5. It's 5 o'clock Eastern time in Atlanta, and joining us is forum member Maury. And what time is it there in Munich, Maury?
It's exactly 11 p.m. 23 on the 24-hour clock.
Okay, so 11.
We
11
German
PM.
have, it's a 24-hour clock. I always get confused with the AM, PM stuff.
Yes, so it's 11 p.m.
So 1
at night.
hour before midnight.
1 hour before midnight. Okay, he's actually ready to party. So Marcus Morba, we're known in the forum as Maury @ MORI. You know, I was really excited to reach out to Maury to ask him to be on the program today, because he is constantly posting stuff in the forum that's always forward thinking. I mean, almost every post that Maury posts is something interesting. It's something forward thinking. It's some kind of technology or platform or camera that I haven't heard of that I should hear of. So I just thought it'd be fun to visit with Maury today. So thanks for joining us, Maury.
Yeah, the pleasure is on my side, because the forum is very inspiring. A lot of great and talented people are there. So yeah, and I hope the community can help each other in maybe developing something advanced in the future.
That sounds good to me. Why don't we first jump in? You're in Munich, Germany. Your company Show It 360. Why don't you tell me about Matterport service provider Show It 360? What are the different services that you all offer?
Currently, the main focus is really concerning Matterport. Yeah, just delivering the capture service, and everybody who has a Matterport knows what is possible and what not. The main reason why I decided to buy the camera was the SDK announced about 24 months ago, and I'm still waiting for it. Although I hope the technology will be so good that I can use the scanned content in Unity, which is also not happen. Nevertheless, I think the workflow is very inspiring and very good compared to all other solutions I know. It just works.
Yeah.
And it goes fast.
So before we get involved a little bit deeper on Matterport, tell me about the other services and solutions that Show It 360 in Munich, Germany offers.
The main thing is really the Matterport and custom scanning with all the other gear available. Unfortunately, a lot of projects, especially in real estate and construction, are strictly confidential. So that's also a reason why you only see Matterport on our webpage and not much other stuff.
Yes. Well, how about talking about some of the other camera solutions, platforms that you're presently using in addition to Matterport?
I've learned from a friend, which is a filmmaker and photographer in Berlin, always rent the gear which is the best for the project. So throughout the years, I have a good network on freelancers, and I'm more, let's say, the center who brings the different pieces together, and whatever problem you have, we can solve it.
Yes. Well, have there been some fun toys that you've had a chance to play with?
What? Sorry.
Fun gear, things that you've rented in order to do a particular project that involved scanning.
We are also partner of Navis, which maybe some of you heard of, which is a Munich startup having something similar like Matterport, but it's more focused on the large scale and much faster scanning. And we have also used Faro, like it really depends on the project. What I like on the Matterport stuff is that you could deliver both sides. I mean, for engineers and construction engineers or AEC, BIM people, currently they are all used to have a point cloud. But if you explore a point cloud and try to show it to the management of a project, they don't get it. They need real pictures.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit about the Navis trolley system. I first had a chance to visit with those folks in person at the trade show in Houston, Texas, SPAR 3D, and fun visiting with them. I think they were so excited. I was so excited. They offered to come to Atlanta. Our We Get Around office is actually in a 103,000 square foot space, 5 stories. It's really a beautiful tech entrepreneur space, 300 companies, 1,000 people. And so they scanned 2 floors for us. And gee, what would that have been? Maybe 20,000 square feet in about 2 hours, something like that. Yeah. So that was really kind of just a test drive in order to show us the Navis trolley. It sounds like you may have had a chance to use that in to actually make some money with the client.
Currently not, because the field where I usually come from. Currently I'm more a connector and often also pass projects and just do, let's say, consulting on digital transformation. the main area I come from is user interface design, UI, UX, and since a while, or let's say last year, September, I started a 3 months project for the European Patents Office. It was a small prototype, and I'm still working on.
Okay.
So this project at the moment eats all my time, and there's no end of the tunnel.
Got it. But I think one of the good things while you're busy working on projects like that, you love technology and you love what's coming, what exists today, and how can you use it in perhaps ways that weren't expected or intended in order to just kind of push to do interesting, innovative things. On that Navish trolley, is the SDK, is that available yet on their solution?
They have an SDK. I'm not a really coder, and so from my point of view, I think they have a really good technology, which is super flexible, but there is no product. You had to build a product. You have an SDK, you have a wonderful Ubuntu stuff. Command line, I really hate command line.
Yeah,
I am a user interface guy. What I want is a guided user interface and drag and drop to do creative things. I don't want to deal with the tech behind. One of my favorite quotes is from the guy who did the Macintosh project at Apple, and he said, customer does not care what's inside the box as long as the box does what he wants. And the other thing he said is, for the customer, the user interface is the product. And so I'm my main goal, or my main thing, is to make usable interfaces for the tech behind.
Yes. So, let's return back to the Matterport SDK, or as we might say in the United States, Bigfoot or Sasquatch or something, because I think I can remember it's been more than 2 years, I believe. I think if you actually use our search box in the forum, which is powered by Google, and search for Bigfoot, you might actually find the Matterport SDK. You might also find the Matterport Design Studio, something that was announced even before I bought the camera in July of 2014. But it's been a while. I have to say, though, even based on an announcement this week, we talk about in the forum with very large construction visual storytelling platform that has struck a deal with integration with Matterport. I mean, it's obvious to me that the SDK exists and Matterport is already using that with companies. It's just not available, perhaps, to you and I. But in my opinion, just this week, and it's written up in the forum. Let me see if I can find the forum discussion on this topic. Shouldn't take me all that long. I'm on the front page of the forum, and Maury, do you happen to recall the story I'm talking about?
You mean the Hexagon cooperation, which is, it's on my topic. So of course, as the thing with the Multa Vista, they have a product called Sidewalk 360, which is powered by Matterport, and definitely there is something.
Yeah. Bear with me 1 second, because I'm going to move the thread up to the top. So anyone that's following our conversation today, it's now at the top of the forum. It's almost at the tippy top before all those sticky note stars. It's labeled Matterport Partners with Hexagon's Multivista. And I think that struck a chord. Maury, do you want to comment on this announcement? I think you had some insight in it.
Yeah, for me, it's the best news since Do you hear me?
Yeah, best news since sliced bread.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, for me, it's the best news since a long time. The best news since looping gives. No, just joking. Because this is really a serious partnership.
Let me take a moment just to read a paragraph or three here. So just to kind of bring everybody up to speed, is that Multivista has developed a custom. Now this is from their press release dated August 29th, 2017. Multivista has developed a custom feature set on top of Matterport 3D application framework, providing seamless interaction between Multivista functionality and Matterport 3D spaces. With Matterport's immersive 3D models embedded with the Multivista platform, Multivista customers will be able to virtually walk through their project site from anywhere in the world. So the Multivista is a very large company with a big footprint around the globe. They operate, I want to say probably everywhere. It's a publicly traded company.
But not in Germany.
Yeah.
Until now.
Until now.
Or by now, it's a date. I think this will change soon.
Okay. So, I think one of the examples is it's now possible, announced this week with the Multivista platform integrated with Matterport, not just to play a Matterport space, but to go to the deep link inside of the Matterport space. And I think that's probably an example of starting to move in the direction of using some tools. You could probably comment better on what the SDK Matterport SDK functionality is enabling Multivista to do, even though that the SDK is not publicly available to everybody else.
I think in this case you can really compare it to that was Navis offers, but the Navis trolley and gear, you could buy, I would say, at least 20 Matterports. And with this step, they're enabling really something similar. But Matterport still has a nice 3D dollhouse, which Navis unfortunately does not have.
Okay. If you're listening on and the Navis trolley system is something new to you, in the forum in the search box, search for Navis, Navvis. That's N as in Nancy, A, V as in Victor, V as in Victor, IS, Navis trolley system, and that's what Marcus is comparing. Perhaps the Matterport solution with Multivista compared to the Navis trolley system.
If you want to experience, I think the best example, navigation, Munich Airport. If you Google navigation Munich Airport.
Do you want to share your screen with us and talk to us about what you're looking at?
We can do this. Okay, share screen. Okay.
Yes. Okay, so we're looking at.
Do you see it?
Yes.
That's exactly the thing. What I'm talking about, and also what I'm waiting for Matterport to deliver. I mean, for most projects or most clients, the real value comes when you add special data or special functionality, e.g. like to search for text objects and all this stuff. Then the client gets a real value from the just scanning project. And
yes,
this is also the part where you can really make the money.
So in this case, I think we're looking at is this the Munich airport?
This is the Munich airport.
And this has been scanned by Navis, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Here my Mac, I think, makes some issues. And maybe I also had to do some stuff. The issue is with the EPO project, and the EPO is a company where security, data protection, and everything like this is treated very, very serious. So I have really to make sure that my browser does nothing which is not allowed, or also protect everything. So often it can happen that something works not. But here you have the plan of the airport with all the shops, and the points you see, the small dots here, these are all the scanning points. And yeah, the advantage of the Navis trolley is you can roll it and you can say, okay, make me a snapshot every meter.
Yeah, for those that haven't seen it, it's kind of cool because the camera is kind of above your head, sorta. That when you scan, you're moving the trolley, but you're not in the picture.
And this is what, as a result. And then you have also the 360-degree stuff. But as already mentioned, with our dollhouse, and here you see the map. And now you can add such nice stuff like I only want the food and drink stations in the map. And all, and you have something like a content management system behind. And especially for big spaces like airports, this is a real great value.
So this is something you'd like to see Matterport enabled. If you were working on this project, you'd need the SDK. It's apparent to me that the SDK exists. It just hasn't been released publicly. And so the announcement this week that we've been talking about with Multivista is really enabled by the Matterport SDK, so that you can be able to do the kinds of things you're showing us in the Navis platform. Am I summarizing that okay?
Yes, exactly. And as I come from the web stuff, of course, I would love it to have support also in Drupal. For the people who don't know Drupal, it's something like WordPress, but more for the enterprise sector. And one big company in Munich which is developing on this open source project is Burda. And Burda is a very, very big media company, and currently they started to build their own media publishing CMS based on Drupal 8, which is open source. So every company in the world who want to add stuff, contribute, can do this. And they provide the base functionalities and let's say an additional core optimized for the media system.
Let me give some context for what Marcus is talking about, because I know many of us are not quite as geeky or tech, and so some of the words you're using, et cetera, to kind of give context. We've barely have scratched the surface of the possibility of Matterport. When that SDK becomes available publicly, and third-party developers like Show It 360 in Munich can really do some amazing things as a result of unlocking the ability to. I think in this example that you were showing for the Munich airport. If you scan a space with Matterport and you only want to have the scans show up that are going to take you to the restaurants. So, let me be able to just simply look at a map and they're showing the restaurants, and all of a sudden the only scans that I can actually go visit are restaurants. So I'm not distracted by everything else in the airport that doesn't interest me. Or I need a bathroom. Get me to the bathroom as quick as possible and don't distract me with everything else. And so I guess what I'm trying to say here is that the magic of Matterport is as exciting as it is today, will become super exciting when the tools that the developers need are readily available. And in fact, Marcus, I think when we actually began the live at 5 here, I think one of the first things that I sensed was you were a little bit frustrated because you specifically bought the Matterport camera 2 years ago with the expectation that the SDK was around the corner because it had been announced as coming soon.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it is like it is, and I have enough pain from Drupal because the current version is Drupal 8. And I think the delay was also about 2 years, and the big Drupal boss Dries once said that it is ready when it's done.
Yeah, that might be yeah. When Bigfoot arrives, Bigfoot will arrive, and so anyway, so it's taken some time. I guess I probably shouldn't get you on the topic of Google Matterport publishing to Google Street View.
I think this is also a good opportunity, especially as my time currently is limited to do smaller projects, if it really works great. So, yeah, okay, here maybe the fault is on Google because they really fucked it up. I was in Vienna at the International VR Photographers Association meeting, and yeah, I have met a lot of guys doing third-party software for the stitching, and they are all complaining about the Google API and that it does not really work as expected. So yeah, the sooner the better.
Yeah, I know when I was in Tokyo for the Google Street View Summit back in May, at that time, Matterport announced that Matterport publishing to Google Street View was coming this summer, summer of 2017. Actually, they just said coming this summer. Maybe they actually meant 2018. So
I think a big advantage would be also the multi-floor stuff, but I definitely don't expect this year because I have a lot of clients who ask for scanning and yeah, can you publish it to Street View? And I say, no, currently this is a custom solution, and a custom solution takes time, and what takes time takes money.
Yeah. Well, I didn't quite get a chance to finish that thought about in Tokyo. Matterport announced, very exciting, Matterport publishing to Google Street View. I think it probably doubles, triples, quadruples the value of the Matterport ecosystem for Matterport service providers. I think when we look back, we'll consider that announcement a seminal moment, or certainly when it's commercially available. But even at that time, Marcus, I was visiting with as many of the CTOs, the chief technology officers of the companies that were there, and asking about the Google Street View API And even then, it was apparent to me, based on a lot of conversations at the summit, that it would be, to me, it would be really surprising if the API was going to be ready or frozen in the summer, so that third-party camera companies, platforms like Matterport, would be able to integrate it. So, even if you go back to, back in May at that conference when Matterport was announcing that they would come out with Google Street View summer 2017, I was writing, gee, I'd be surprised if it would be out by September 2017, and not anything, not Matterport's fault. I just felt that the Google Street View API had a long way to go, and so it looks like I'm going to be wrong too, because it doesn't look like even from what I'm hearing that even September is a possibility. So that would continue to push Matterport publishing to Google Street View further out. Not surprising, Matterport has taken all the marketing materials about Google Street View publishing off of their website, and that kind of is an indication that it's just not around the corner. So I guess if we're lucky, it's by the end of the fourth quarter, 2017, perhaps more realistically, first quarter 2018. When you were at IVRPA in Vienna, I imagine you talked with a lot more Google Street View photographers than I did in Tokyo. What was the sentiment in terms of the Google Street View API at that time?
Yeah, of course, all were exciting that there will be additional features from the third-party developers. But I guess nobody expected that the issue will be that Google turned off the service and there is no new one ready for them, though you're currently trapped because, you can shoot photos, but you cannot publish.
Well, the third-party service, their third-party tools to enable the Google Street View photographers to be able to publish to Google Street View. It's just that their workflow just got blown up, and I would imagine Google didn't make too many friends when they did that. I'm not sure what the reasoning was behind sunsetting the existing solution even before the new solution would be ready. That's probably certainly would be an interesting thing to understand. Do you have any insight on why Google would sunset before even the new API was rock solid and third-party companies using it had a rock solid tool? No.
No, sorry, no. Because normally when we do something like this, you turn off the old service if you're 120% sure that the new service works. I've worked for a lot of big web portals, from O2 Telefonica or at Axel Springer, and every year there was a super huge relaunch of a portal, and one requirement is always there cannot be any time where the service is shut down. Maybe some hours Sunday night to Monday morning, but not a day or a week or something like this. That's unbelievable.
So I've been lucky enough to be in London, and when you take the subway or the tube there, the expression that comes to mind is "mind the gap," and there seems to be a gap between sunsetting the existing Google Street View solution to the new one, and that there's a lot of photographers in the gap, probably extraordinarily frustrated.
Yeah,
I
often the
imagine.
gap is also between development and marketing. I mean, I also had project, I don't name the company, where the first thing in the project which they announced was the launch date. And then they look what has to be done.
Yes.
Then you need
Yeah.
especially cool people who makes this happen.
Yeah, I was surprised even that Matterport picked a date and put it in stone, because I know in the forum, I guess in addition to being the founder of the We Get Around Network Forum, I think my informal title is Matter Baby in Chief, because I seem to whine quite a bit, and I tend to whine when dates are announced and things don't happen, and certainly there's been a lot of that. So I'm kind of surprised that I guess Matterport could have said coming soon, but I would fully expect that they expected that the Google Street View API would be rock solid, and they'd be able to maybe do a beta testing in the summer, and maybe shortly thereafter come out with a commercial product. So I think this is probably one case where I really can't beat Matterport up too badly, because I think the underlying problem is really probably the Google API.
Yeah, but if you promise a product, then you have to make sure before that what your partner promises works.
Yeah.
So I would never announce something because I see a software can maybe do this if you have no details about it. I first do a test project, and if this works, then I announce something. If I really can make 100% sure that it also works for me, and not just because I've seen an advertisement of something magic. I've also bought 360 cameras where I'm pretty sure that the marketing material is not made with a product. It's made with a much better product, but not with the one they sell.
Yeah, I'll pick up on that in a moment. I think just to let our viewers know, if they're just tuning in, I'm Dan Smigrod. I'm the founder of the We Get Around Network Forum. We're talking with We Get Around Network Forum member Maury from Show at 360 in Munich, Germany. This is WGAN TV live at 5 o'clock Eastern time. In Atlanta, though, 11 p.m. or 23, or about an hour before midnight, now about 25 minutes before midnight for Maury. So Maury, I think the interesting thing is if we went back to revisit all the cameras that were announced in Tokyo as going to be Google Street View certified and ready and launched, I think there's probably a lot of other marketing departments that picked a date, fall 2017, and probably won't see some of those cameras until first quarter 2018. So that's probably my guess. I mean, you're probably thinking a little bit about maybe some of the NC Tech announcements. Probably, if we were looking for, what might be a Matterport competitor, I guess we were all kind of hoping that by now we would see a camera from NC Tech, and it'll be a good question when we see that camera, because I always think it's good to have competition. And frankly, it's good as Matterport service providers to have competition, because it just makes us better. So hopefully Matterport doesn't look at it as the competitor as, oh woe is me, but as something that just says, oh, wow, they're doing something really smart. Okay, how do we deal with that? In fact, Maury, this is probably a good topic for you, because you bought Matterport, but I think you have some issues with it. And I suspect you have been looking forward to some new solutions coming out, maybe NC Tech perhaps being one of those. You have some
Definitely,
thoughts?
definitely.
Yeah. So what are
I
the
mean,
kinds of
uh, the, the other thing, and yeah, I have a little bit of feeling that I'm the crazy German who is always shouting and not happy with what has been achieved. But another issue, as especially we are doing a lot of confidential projects, the legals at Matterport, I think they should be a little bit optimized, especially for Europe and Germany. But I'm not a lawyer. But would you buy a Canon camera if Canon gets all the rights on your photos, and if you want to switch to Nikon, you lose all the rights on the photos taken with your Canon? I don't think so. And if you have a detailed look, then please prove me that I have a wrong understanding.
So, Maury, can you find your thread in the forum there? So we just move that up to the top because you've been writing on this topic some. Is that something you can find?
Just a moment. Where is the home page? Forum home.
You know, I don't recall if you just started the discussion or that was something that you kind of piped in on. But obviously a little bit frustrated, a lot of it frustrated in terms of the intellectual property, who owns it, what do you have the rights to do with it, what does Matterport have the right to do with it. So, you know, I don't know if I posted on this topic, but I think one of the interesting things, Maury.
No, it was something about image from P and
so while Maury is looking for this discussion, and it's a very interesting and lively discussion in the We Get Around Network forum, this is probably a topic for a whole nother discussion and get some of the brain trust all together, on a group chat talking about this. But I think sometimes that it just feels like Matterport's not quite upfront with us, and so it feels a little bit sneaky, like it's reserving the rights to do things with our content in other ways that is not sharing revenue with the Matterport service provider. And I think maybe to give you an example, there are at least 3 platforms that I know of that there's a revenue share for the photographer when the content is licensed and used in other ways. 360 Cities, for example, I believe it's 360cities.net, that you have the option to opt in to letting 360 Cities with its partner license content to other companies, and that you as a photographer share in that revenue. And I want to say I've seen at least 2 other platforms. I think we've written about one other one in the forum where there is a revenue share. And who knows? Maybe we'll only make pennies ever in a revenue share model, but at least we have the right to decide if our content is going to be licensed, and that we have a right to share in the revenue that's generated. And I think some of the things Maury's alluding to about the intellectual property restrictions that Matterport has in its service agreement with us, it seems to indicate that Matterport could use our content in a lot of ways that we probably either can imagine or never imagined, and we'll never see a penny from that. I think if I'll just speak for a moment on it, because it seems obvious to me that we as Matterport service providers are mapping the world of indoor spaces. And since Matterport knows how to turn those indoor spaces into floor plans, and Matterport has a strategic alliance with Realtor.com, that I could imagine that when you're searching Realtor.com, and if there was a Matterport scan ever taken of that house, that you'd automatically have a floor plan, a two-dimensional floor plan served up as part of your Realtor.com search. And that I can imagine that could be exclusive or on a non-exclusive basis. So if Realtor.com is trying to compete with Zillow.com, and Realtor.com is the only one that can make the claim that we have, two-dimensional floor plans, or we have, let's say, 500,000 two-dimensional floor plans as part of our search, that maybe the reason I'd want to search for a house on Realtor.com versus Zillow.com is because of the floor plans. And those floor plans are coming from the computer vision of Matterport in order to be able to create those floor plans. And that is, not necessarily on the house that I shot today, but on the house that I shot today, when it's sold 3 years from now and sold 3 years forward, and all of a sudden I never get to see any additional ancillary revenue, even though my content is being licensed and or quote, my content is being licensed and resold to others. Maury, did you find that thread, a discussion that you were looking for?
It was Matterport competitors, no rights to images.
Let me see if I can search for that. Matterport, no. Can you share it on your screen?
Yes.
Yeah. So I see it. While you're sharing it on the screen, I'm going to just put a little X there, move it up to the top of the forum for those that want to just kind of follow along.
There were two threads, I think. One was this. I mean, the case you said, okay, if they sell the floor plans, the issue is, for me, if they sell the floor plans, maybe I would not even care. But if I capture a museum, which has a lot of content, and I cannot exactly control for my clients, or let's say a lot of clients here in Germany want security. They often say, what happens if Google buys Matterport? And a very nice example is from another field with augmented reality. There was a few years ago a very cool company called Metaio, who did amazing stuff in augmented reality. They were a world leader, and they had SDK, cross-platform, wonderful things you could do. And suddenly you got an email, our service is running 1 month, and then we shut down because Apple bought us. And and though currently in the case of Matterport, you have nothing. Matterport terminates the service.
Hang on a second. Take us off of screen share there.
In the case of Matterport, you have nothing. Not even the 360 image you could keep if you terminate the service. And that's not something I can sell for money to a client, that I say, hey, you get an iframe and that's everything. And I cannot give you any security of the 360-degree image, single images or whatever. Maybe you have spent a lot of money and then we have to trash it.
Yeah, I think we're actually talking about two separate issues. The one is what happens if Matterport goes away, and the other is security. I'm not sure it's fair to say, is Matterport going away? I mean, getting funding, 61 million, 65 million, whatever it is. They just recently got an extra $5 million from Ericsson. From what I understand from talking to colleagues, Matterport probably does $20 million in sales annually. So I think the client might be more concerned if you or I go away as opposed to Matterport going away.
Or exactly this.
But
if you quit Matterport, you have to destroy every content. So also all the content for your clients.
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing. That's a good question to ask Matterport, because I just personally would be surprised that even if we stopped paying for our hosting account, that I think Matterport still has our content, will use our content, and we will not have access to the content, and our clients will not have access to the client. But, frankly, we decide to buy a camera, regardless of these issues, which, have been actually debated in the forum now, literally 3 years. I think from 3 years ago when the We Get Around Network forum first started, there were discussions about, well, what happens if Matterport goes out of business, and da da da. But I think actually the more important question is the privacy and security of content. You're working with I think just even a category law enforcement, that's off the table for all of us, because this is a primarily an open platform. Certainly the police department is not going to have you scan a crime scene with Matterport if they don't have custody and control of all the imagery, and that it can't be shared with anyone else other than law enforcement. Maybe that's an extreme example, but someplace within there, that you're talking about a museum, maybe I'll pick a different category, having come from the television and entertainment space. All day long, television and entertainment, it's all about intellectual property. And that's a really good question about whether we'll ever make any deep inroads in entertainment, in television or film, because the movie studios, the television studios, they want to own their intellectual property 100%.
It's the same with media companies like Burda. They really would love us to shoot tours, but the legal department says not with this not under these circumstances. Burda pays not that bad, but for this, they really want control over the content, and their business model is also to reuse and sell this content, which works very good with 360 video. So they're doing currently a lot of 360 video and not virtual tours, and they have I have no idea how much websites and magazines with interior design and celebrities' homes and all the stuff you could do if, there's no base.
There's no paywall to put behind it. But I to some extent, personally, I feel like Matterport's a little bit sneaky on this category. They've never, despite all these discussions that we all have openly in the We Get Around Network forum, and never have addressed the intellectual property. I think if you talk to a Matterport salesperson, let's say, oh, you own it, and the fact is, even if I own the copyright, and I think there's a very good post by Metroplex 360, Chris Hickman, in the forum, where he had actually talked to an attorney. That discussion was posted in the forum. It was kind of like you show up at let's call it an art studio, and the art studio hands you paper, and you do your Mona Lisa drawing on that piece of paper, and they go, oh, that's lovely, and you can put it up on our wall. But you can't put it up anyplace else. You can't take that drawing that you just made and do whatever you want with it. No, it can only hang in our gallery. So that's probably the best metaphor that I've heard trying to explain this intellectual property stuff. But I just feel like, what's going to happen is Matterport's going to syndicate all our content. They're already doing that today, where they syndicate our content to realtor.com and those in the New York area with the NewYorkTimes.com. And personally, I think, A, that's fantastic, and B, how exciting, and 3, that creates so much value. On the other hand, I would like them to say, Dan, may we have your permission to use your content to syndicate it? I could, fast forward today, I could imagine that Matterport could syndicate content to 500 different categories or companies. You think about syndicating content for event spaces, for restaurants. Just pick a category. Let's say Open Table, and Open Table says, hey, you have this amazing database of restaurants. We'd like to license it so that when you go to the Open Table website or app, up pops a Matterport space that one of us shot. An event planner, all of a sudden there's a wedding venue. And we've all shot, a place that's great for a party. Boom, Matterport syndicates that. So, I personally, and again, I think this is why, Matt, I get so emotional on this. I think this is so exciting of the possibility and the potential for Matterport, and could, within a few short years be syndicated. This is a whole nother topic for another day, but syndicating content to dozens and then hundreds and maybe even thousands of places as the database gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But I have 2 problems with that. First, Matterport never asked my permission to use my content in a way that I haven't given them permission. And second, even if they actually ask, and I imagine at some point, because they read, Matterport reads everything in the forum. I could imagine they've hired a full-time person just to watch all our WGAN-TV live at 5 broadcasts. We should wave at them, Marcus. But I think the point is, I certainly believe that Matterport will, if they haven't already put a mechanism in place, will shortly put in place that they will ask our permission to use our content. And I think the kind of the sneaky little piece where they haven't quite done this, go into Matterport Workshop and they say verify address. If you verify the address, you are essentially enabling Matterport to syndicate the content, because you've verified the address. They now know exactly where that model is, and from their API can serve up that model to realtor.com and the NewYorkTimes.com. So instead of saying verify this address, it should actually say, would you like us to syndicate your model? Verify your address. And so I would imagine at some point Matterport will finally catch up on that, because we'll beat them up continuously until that actually happens. Because the problem is, there are some of us that want to be able to share in the revenue of the syndication. And I firmly believe that there will be other platforms that host Matterport spaces in specific verticals that will enable us to syndicate our content if Matterport is not going to enable us to syndicate the content. And so anyway, I think, in one sense, I'm extremely excited that it's possible for Matterport to syndicate content, that they will be doing that on a large scale. I just think they need to do 2 things. 1, ask my permission, and 2, share revenue with me. And anyway, I kind of digressed a little bit, Marcus, but I think
I never have thought of this, because most of my clients definitely would not would kill me if I would do this.
But that's fine, because we all know what kind of rights we have and don't have with our clients to do what we're doing. So and I think there's, I would divide it in 2 things. One is, there's some clients that would say, you were talking about filming a movie star, doing a Matterport space of a movie star's home, and that you could monetize that, and that whoever owns that intellectual property really doesn't want, Matterport making money and syndicating the content. And then you have clients that absolutely do not want Matterport spaces to show up anywhere ever. End of story. I know that we've scanned. We get around Atlanta's scan spaces, and they're not public. They were just interested in the data, and wish we could talk about it, but we can't. For that brief second, that space had to be public for us to do something with. And anyway, this is the whole topic of if you want to have privacy and security. I'm just going to guess the way to answer that, Marcus, is that Matterport's probably not the right platform, and that's why some of the solutions that are coming become kind of interesting. So anyway, we've been yakking for about an hour. Do you want to start talking about NC Tech at all, or some other things that you wanted to chat about, or
okay, the main topic was Intergeo, or we said we want to talk about it. It's the world's largest event for geodesy, geoinformation, and land management. So,
excuse me. While you're talking about, why don't you share your screen so we're looking at their website? This is a conference that's coming up in Germany later. I want to say this month, but it's actually in September. So give me one more day, and then I could actually say later this month in September 2017 in Germany. Intergeo is a scanning conference. And Marcus, why don't we end on this? Is take us through what you think is going to be announced at Intergeo coming up 26 to 28 September, Berlin 2017.
Definitely, I hope for big news from NC Tech, but I've searched the database. If you have that's an advantage of a web developer. I can extract the ugly iframes and have a cool database. But if I look, e.g. here for NC Tech, now they're here.
Voila.
A few hours ago, they weren't here.
So that's exciting. So
okay, you definitely can now be sure that they will be there and they will announce something.
Well, I don't know, Marcus. I was in Houston. I think it was, let's see, let me think about this. In April 2017, NC Tech presented. I was in Tokyo. NC Tech presented, made lots of exciting announcements. Do you think the announcement could possibly be that we're ready to ship?
I hope so, but they only know, the only people who really know it, are from NC Tech.
Yeah, but I'm going to say probably not, because their products are really, deeply integrated with Street View, and the problems and challenges that we've been talking about doesn't affect just Matterport. It affects every camera company.
I think the Lazarus is maybe they also.
You want to type that? So Lazarus VR. That is an NC Tech camera. It's kind of a little bit on steroids. It uses LiDAR technology. It's more of an I want to say under, what would you say? Under, I don't recall. Is it under 10,000? Or
no, 15. I guess
under 15,000.
Here is the Street View one, but of course it has no 3D. What can be calculated out of the images is uncertain. The only thing you see is a screenshot. And where is the menu? Here.
Yeah.
Here is Lazarus. Of course, that's all the one thing I would really love to try out as soon as it comes out is the advantage that the laser scanner has much more reach. 100 meters. So The Matterport has 3 or 4.
I describe it as a story and a half in the United States.
And especially if you are scanning big buildings, that's a huge advantage. And yeah, the color cloud, we will see. And yes, they rethink how, or they rethink how you capture reality. And here we are on a topic which I'm currently also experimenting. This company will also be there, and well, unfortunately, I haven't yet time to test what I can do with photos and the Matterport export and point cloud, because this is a software which really works great just with images. The disadvantage is you need a lot of images. And then you can also construct a 3D model with much higher details just out of photos. Perfect, it works, of course, if you have laser scan data or point cloud data, and then you map the images on it.
Yeah, incidentally, for those who are tuning in here, you're watching WGAN-TV live at 5. I'm Dan Smigrod, founder of the We Get Around Network Forum. We're talking with Marcus Morba in Munich, Germany, and we're talking about an upcoming trade show in Germany the end of September. And Maury, so for those that are doing beta testing with Matterport Point Cloud, you can do that today. So I think what we're looking at is what are the higher end solutions for generating a point cloud, and interestingly also the photography as well. So you had mentioned at the top of our program about Leica. So are you expecting big things from them?
Yeah, I see a lot of posts about also this nice, they're waiting for delivery, and I think it's very, very close, although very nice, and
so this is the
above
Leica, the
10,000.
Leica BLK 360, the Leica BLK 360, an under $15,000 camera solution. I think it's under 15. It might be.
Or under 15, yes.
Yeah.
I think a big advantage is, of course, the general workflow, so that it fits to Autodesk software. You have no complicated conversion and all this stuff. And just a moment. Another exciting thing I already also posted in the forum, but no, I think. Do you hear the sound when I share?
I think you can turn on the original sound in the top left.
That's a good top left. Mute, stop video.
Turn on original sound. Do you have that? Maybe that's just on my control.
Audio options.
Try it now. Let's see if we hear it. Oh, I don't hear
Leave
anything.
computer audio. I have here.
Yeah. All right, that's something that we'll have to figure out. So I think the way that we'll say this is, had we heard this sound, Marcus, Maury, what is it that we would have heard?
Okay, it's mostly music, of course, but what they illustrate here with a cyclone is a really smart workflow for BIM. And here you have all of these advantages that you can take, snapshots, measurements out of the point cloud data, and in a, let's say, much more professional way compared to that what Matterport has. And here you have all those tools I would love that you enable creative people to do stuff without even programming.
Yeah. Incidentally, just the kind of a parenthetical thought here. I think with the Matterport Pro 2 3D camera, we're probably, in my opinion, we're probably seeing the top of the line Matterport camera in the iteration that we think of. And when we look at a Leica BLK360 or a Lazarus VR camera, both of which are using LiDAR technology, I could imagine that either Matterport will either A, develop a high-end camera for the AEC space that's probably under 10,000 or under 20,000. So just really kind of, let's call it Matterport Pro 2 3D on steroids, where I'm not sure you can make the existing feature set any better. But if you think a little differently to say, oh, if we want to have a camera for the AEC space, the BIM modelers, the BIM that Maury was referencing, then why shouldn't Matterport be a player in a higher end camera for companies that value the point cloud, the accuracy, the workflow, etc. And then I think the other thing, Maury, that I could imagine, what I would call maybe plan B, is I think Matterport's really brilliant in terms of developing a platform. It's kind of like inventing electricity and a light bulb at the same time. They had to invent a camera, a app that runs the camera, a processing solution, a hosting solution, a content delivery network. Really, it's like inventing electricity and a light bulb at the same time. But now that the platform exists, rather than becoming, the camera company, I'd rather see them, work with NC Tech, Leica, etc., to enable all these other cameras that are both scanners and photography to be able to successfully publish to the Matterport platform. Do you think that'll ever happen?
That's a good question. I think currently, if you look at the cooperation with Multivista, you can definitely say you have the super high professionals using Leica and Faro. Then you have the ones which maybe will use the NC Tech Lazarus and the BLK 360. And then you will have, I would not say low cost, because I mean, 5,000 euros or dollars are still not low cost.
Yeah, but if we're talking
when you
about
had to invest.
Yeah, but if we're talking about 50,000 euros or 100,000 euros, then coming out with a camera that in US dollars is under 20,000 or under 15,000 or frankly under 10,000, that maybe we, as we think of Matterport service providers, are not the market for buying a camera like that. But in the AEC space and BIM modelers, if they could have a camera at that price, then it probably opens up all possibilities of the kinds of things that they could scan that doesn't require the accuracy of a machine that costs a scanner that costs 2, 5, 10, 20 times as much as these solutions that we're looking at.
That would be possible, but at the moment there are, I think then Matterport must change to local hosting, or at least the option that I can choose where I want to host. Most of this confidential data is in intranets and not even in the internet. Then they had to.
Matterport doesn't need to host the point cloud. You can, export that. Never publish your model publicly. It's not the most secure way system, perhaps, because you're still connected to the internet, but not publishing the model to the Matterport platform, but using it for the purpose of exporting an XYZ file well, I
Yeah,
guess
the issue is if I have the point cloud, but I have not the possibility to offer, e.g., the nice 3D dollhouse, photorealistic view with meta text, although in the internet, then you have different servers, which it makes complicated for the general workflow. So I choose a solution which enables me everything in one thing and not a little bit of this and a little bit of that. We will see. I think also if Multivista wants to do really serious business based on Matterport, I think they will offer a solution for this.
Yeah.
And yes, maybe this will cost some extra money, but I don't think that this would be an issue.
Mm-hmm. All right. Is there anything else that you want to show us on the screen? If not, let's stop screen sharing and then maybe just tell us some more things that you think you might.
Yeah, I did some research. I haven't found them for the event in Berlin. And yeah, you know it already.
Nope.
The effortless 3D.
Nope. That's an example of why I wanted to have you on the program. Is you're always coming up with stuff that either is just
found it today. At
look at the price, €6,000 pounds. Yeah, it's amazing.
Excluding that. Yeah, but okay. It has 20 meter scanning range, which is not so much as e.g. the Lazarus, but much more than the Matterport. And if they really have 30 millimeters accuracy, that's very interesting. Color 3D scan under 3 minutes. Okay, we will see. And 40 megapixel output.
While you're looking at it, one of the interesting things that I think I observed when I was at the SPAR 3D conference in Houston back in I want to say April. That used to be a conference that was just scanners, and boom, all of a sudden now you're seeing photography. And then you have then you have 360 cameras that just shoot 360 photography, and then boom, now they're capturing data. So I think we're seeing this blending of camera companies adding data and data companies adding cameras, and now it's all turning into voila, yet another scanner, probably photography solution meets sweep.
At the moment, I think, especially in the tech, which means sensors and parts, there, this and next year there will be dramatic change. And I've also found this nice one, which is a do-it-yourself kit. So you can build your own Matterport, maybe. And a very nice price. I think 700 with software and stuff. Then you get a Raspberry, of course. Yeah, that's for super techies, and the Matterport is for users who don't want to deal with tech.
Yeah.
But sounds very interesting. And personally, if you just take the sensor, it's $350. And you have a kit with, I think, additional stuff, which is about 700.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Basically, also what I think is that moving a camera around the house is something like, it sounds 90s. If you look at the stuff at Intergeo, which is mostly more drone-based and capturing outdoors, I don't see a huge gap. Why not to use all this cool stuff also indoors? Which, I think in 1 or 2 years, you will have a robot or a drone doing all the scanning stuff. And you don't need to move a camera around. And especially as our time is limited, all the best from Munich.
Yes.
Is an addition to this, where we have something nice made by Matthias Niese and some guys from Stanford and Princeton. And
Maury, take us off of screen sharing there for a moment.
Okay.
As as we wrap up, we probably heard the most exciting thing at the very end, and that is that Marcus Morba of Show It 360 in Munich, Germany, is now on the record is predicting that within 2 years, so that would be by August 31st, 2019, we're going to see a mashup of a Matterport camera with a drone, and who knows whether we even need to press the button in order to send the drone into the house to go scan in the entire house and create a three-dimensional model without having to continuously move the camera. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. What an exciting prediction. I think that's amazing. So, get ready, Matterport service providers within 2 years. Look for a mashup of what we're presently doing with the aerial drone, but for indoors. And how exciting is that? We'll all have to think about what our next job is going to be, but somebody, I guess, has to press the button and make that drone fly through the house. So anyway, Maury, thank you for joining us today. This is all. If you were just tuning in at the end of the program, I think we've had a fascinating hour and 20-minute conversation.
Wow.
Visiting with Matterport service provider Marcus Morba in Munich, Germany. His company Show It 360 in Munich, and you all have been watching WGAN TV live at 5 today from Munich, Germany, with Maury and myself, Dan Smigrod in Atlanta. Thanks for watching.
Maybe one last thing.
Yes.
Yeah, just sharing the screen.
Okay.
And currently we have the city of Munich and the White Box Munich have a crowdfunding competition, which is called City Space Art. And I made a suggestion which was accepted to support especially venues and art spaces which could not afford to pay for a scanning, though I tried to get some money together or gear. If Matterport hears this, a Pro 2 would be a nice thing to support very cool places in Munich. And though we offer the service at very reduced costs or maybe even for free.
Yeah, I think this is a good place to end on. I think it's in terms of thinking really big. How do you map the world of nonprofit spaces, museums, art facilities, theaters, galleries, in order to enable anyone, anywhere, at any time to be able to visit the art places that are special in our community. So I'm thrilled that you're working on a crowdfunding solution. I think please do let us know how that goes in terms of raising money in order to scan at reduced prices in order to map the world of nonprofits in Munich.
I definitely will, because this is also a way for me, let's say, to find out what price is acceptable, or and in this case I'm very thankful for the city of Munich and especially the White Box for supporting stuff like this, because they have, I think, a 1,600 journalists and magazines in the press box, which will get informed about this. So I definitely hope we get more attention. And yeah, often even in the city of Munich, where they build millions projects, they don't know that something like Matterport exists. And I hope, especially with this competition, we can also change and get much more awareness what's possible from the technical side, and we will see what happens. I'm very exciting.
And also from the media side, that perhaps this is the opportunity to shine a light on what the possibilities are of enabling people to travel 3D VR through these special nonprofits, in this case in Munich, and have media perhaps help amplify that message to a larger world in order to raise the money that you're looking for in order to accomplish this. So very, very exciting project that you're working on in the arts community in Munich. So Maury, good visiting with you. I know it's after midnight your time. Thank you for hanging in there, and look forward to seeing you continuing to post, add color and commentary in the We Get Around Network forum. Y'all, you've been watching WGAN TV live at 5. I'm Dan Smigrod, founder of the We Get Around Network Forum from Atlanta. Maury, thank you so much for joining us, and enjoy your evening.
It was a very great time. At the beginning, I really was worried how we could pass 1 hour, and now I guess I have content for 1 or 2 hours left.
Yeah, for another day. All right, good visiting with you, Maury.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much for hosting.
Yeah, okay, bye-bye.
Bye.